Welcome to the Root of It All podcast with Tree, where you will learn new habits for human betterment. We talk about all things related to personal growth, and everything is on the table. Each episode will explore different topics like self-care, mindfulness, goal setting, and more, with a focus on practical tips and actionable advice you can start implementing in your life today. Our goal is to help you become the best version of yourself and live a more meaningful life. So grab a drink, cozy up, take your dog for a walk, or go for a drive. Join us for some fun and meaningful conversations with some amazing humans. Let's grow together.
Hello, everybody, and today I have a very special guest. This is Stephanie Van Dam, and we become pretty good friends over the past year, and she's from Sandler, and she is the only female franchisee owner in Canada, which is super cool. And I cannot
Yeah.
wait for all of you listeners to learn from her and to learn from her human behavior, because that's what we're talking about, and what she does. And I'll let her teach us what it is that her business does and, well, what you do, which is awesome.
Mhm.
So welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So teach people what the extraordinary Stephanie does.
So what I do, what Sandler does or what my business does, and what I love to do is be able to support uh, teams, managers. And when I say teams, I mean leadership, all the way down to salespeople or their customer service frontline people, in being efficient and intentional in increasing their communication, which ultimately helps them sell more, bring more revenue and profit to their company. That's the bottom line of what I do. And there's a whole lot of stuff that happens in the middle of all of that.
Mhm.
But I work with companies to establish strategy, some structure, to make sure they've got the right people, and then make sure that those people are skilled to the right levels to, like I said, increase revenue.
Awesome. Yeah, it's always about the
Yeah.
bottom line when it comes to business, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Because we can do lots of stuff with money. So yeah, we
Well,
like
and
that.
and the great thing too, and what I want to start off with is what is awesome for people to model off of you is that this whole thing of a zero judgment place. Like you and I, we very much, when we first met and all of the conversations that we've had since we've met, it's a very much of a curiosity conversation as opposed to a judgment conversation. And I know that when you are training people, you have to be in that energy. You have to be in that way so that you can look at somebody and say, "Oh, interesting," and then guide them into the direction in which they need to go. So teach us a little bit about how it is that you either chose to be that way, or maybe there's things that happened in your life that pushed you in that direction.
I think that's a big question. And I love it, because it involves a whole lot of past. So I think the idea is that we all seem to, we've all had various roles and I'll say jobs in our lives, and then you kind of land in a certain spot, and then you realize all the previous ones were supporting you in landing in the place that you end up being. And so I think for me, I could go back and say, I was one of five kids. And so did that impact me in terms of having a bunch of different personalities around me from a young age? And we
Mm.
were all just had to be what we had to be. Um, and so that could be it.
I
I'm
did
a
not
middle.
know you were one of five. How did I not know that? I
Oh,
thought
I
you
don't
were
know.
one of one. Yeah. Okay, keep going, but cool.
Yeah. So what's also interesting is that my father had, and I say it now because he's passed away, but had a different skin color than me. He was he has an Indonesian mom and a Dutch father. And so my older siblings have a different skin color than me. And so it's not to say that I don't see color. That's not what I mean by that. It's simply to say that we have the acknowledgement and awareness that there are people, all different kinds of people that surround you.
Mhm.
And it didn't matter to me with that. I was born into it. So they were my brother and sister from my day zero for me.
Mhm.
So there could be that. I've also done a lot of work over through coaching, through new, just different um, perspectives about people saying that, everybody comes to life with a story.
Hmm.
We all have different experiences, and some of those are wonderful experiences, some of them are not. And whenever somebody comes to us with something, they've packed all that emotion into that particular story. It doesn't need to mean that. It's just that that person has made it mean something.
Hmm.
And so my role as a facilitator is to be able to kind of unpack some of that and help somebody navigate through it. And so if I'm going to help somebody unpack it, like I've done that myself, still work on it, right? We all have
Yep.
experiences and people show up and
Yeah.
well, that's no, that's a statement or that's simply a thing. And we attach something to it that says we
Mhm.
react or respond in a certain way. So um, it's sort of like being a bit of a human archaeologist, a human behavior, because we've got to peel away a few things to kind of get what the root or the core is. Ooh, the root of it. To see what I did there? You got to get to the root of it all. Anyway, so then,
Well, and that's
yeah.
another reason why you and I align so much because we're fascinated in each other. We're both fascinated in people. We're both fascinated in
Mhm.
human behavior. And also I know that we've shared a lot about each other, that we've been through all kinds of different situations to navigate. And I think there's a settling in one's nervous system when you've seen a lot, done a lot, and you've experienced so much. And I, even coming from a diverse family, definitely opens your eyes to just freedom in all directions, meaning that there is no there is no different, that everybody is the same, even if people look different, but everybody's the same. Everybody's part of the same family. And it's interesting that when we come from this place, and I encourage everybody that's listening to this, because this is for everybody that is listening. That's our true passion for Stephanie's and mine and all kinds of other guests, that it's for the people listening to help them change. So um, as we're helping people and guiding them into the direction of where it is that they need to go, teach us about maybe some challenges that you've had in terms of people not wanting to change, or some not, and I don't mean conflict in any way. I'm just talking about somebody that's in their own, what we like to call in hypnosis and neurolinguistics, maturity drama, where they're not doing it on purpose, right? But also,
Mhm.
when I say they're not doing it on purpose, I'm not defending their behavior, but it's
Yep.
like,
Yeah.
because I know that you've had to, like, you've worked with hundreds of, dare I say, thousands of people. So you've had to come across this. And
Yeah.
if you say, well, Tree, I've never come across this, I'd call kind of bullshit. But,
No. Right.
but yeah, so just speak to, because because you have this calmness, and I think that that helps you move that along, but I'll let you answer that question.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. And thanks for noticing that. It's what I feel like is that, and I'm going to go straight to a sales stereotype, right? And the sales
Oh.
stereotype is typically is sort of the aggressive, dishonest, do anything to make a sale, uh, kind of personality, right? Super social, center of attention, wants nothing but money, right? And doesn't matter what they're doing, they'll do whatever they need to do, say whatever they need to say to get to that piece.
Mhm.
Um, and so that stereotype exists. And when I encounter a lot of salespeople or even customer service people, so that can be internal, that they feel like in order to sell something, they need to be like that stereotype. And so, what I might like to call it is resistance.
Mhm.
We could call it comfort zone, because they're unaware of what they're battling. I mean, very few people grow up in life when when you're a kid, you're like, I'm going to be, a fireman or a veterinarian or insert whatever role you want it to be. Very few people go to their parents when they're 10 years old and say, I want to be a salesperson, and so there was that because of that stereotype. I think when we get into adulthood and we realize now that we need to do some tasks, have conversation around, I've got to be able to solve a problem. I'm going to get into sales, and they're battling that stereotype, and there is a terrific misalignment with who they see themselves as and who they think they need to be as a salesperson.
Mm,
And so that's the if I battle anything, it's that, and that there is a belief, which I'll define as, for me, a belief is a thought that you have had over and over and over and over again that has gone unquestioned.
mm.
And so you believe it so strongly
So
that
I
it in
just
your
want to
mind it becomes fact, but not fact.
So I just want to repeat that for people because I think this is a really key component of that. So if you're so as you're listening to this, if you have something in your mind that you repeated over and over and over again and you're choosing to believe that it's true, then
Yeah,
is it really true? You're just
right.
choosing that. Yeah. So keep going.
Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah, so which is why having coaches and people in our lives who advise us, right, are able to bring different perspectives. They are able to question it. And that if you have, anyway, so we can get into on that, but if you have a different goal in mind, having an outside voice is the one that supports you in achieving a different result. And
Mhm.
that will then modify your belief, right? So yes, things are not always true. So back to the we attach things to it. So I think for us, it's they have that belief that salespeople need to be a certain way. And then when I introduce a different perspective, then they either say, no, I can't do that. That could be, and that could be for many reasons, or that's not how I believe it needs to be done.
Right.
And um, so uh, one of the things that I help people understand and realize is, well, let's try that once, let's see how that's going to go. And then we shift beliefs that way.
Yeah, and that's a really good point because we only change through experiences. That's the only way that we can change.
Right.
So as you're presenting a new experience for somebody, and when they experience it, um, they can't unexperience it. But also too, once they've experienced it, there's proof that it could be different.
Yeah. Right. Well, and one of my favorite things to talk about is comfort zone. And people will have, and of course, by definition and name, comfort zones are comfortable, right? We love to be there, warm, cozy, dry. And I think when we try to shift people outside the comfort zone, the thought is that they're going to go like way over here, and over here is really painful. It
Hmm.
hurts, it's awful, it's wet, it's rainy, it's dark. And that's not where most people want it to go. There's a space in the middle, right? That some people they'll call it a growth zone. But there is that space where you can expand your comfort zone. And yes, there's a nudge of discomfort, but it's not painful.
Yeah.
And so most people who do kind of what we do, we're not necessarily wanting to put somebody into pain. That's not what we're wanting to do.
Mhm.
It's let's expand comfort zones. Um, and
I love
then
the way
that's when minds are open to
yeah, I love the
develop
way
a
you
bit of a shift.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I love the way you word that. So and I'm just interjecting because I want to like really um, give some repetition on some key points. Like, so expanding somebody's comfort zone. So that's a huge thing. And I think the people that are listening to this, where is it that you can kind of push that envelope or expand your comfort zone? And I do want to add too that us as humans, us as a species, and actually a lot of species on this planet really do not like change. And humans are one of them. Um,
Mhm.
Even if you look at ants, or dogs, cats, things like that. Like
Yeah.
it's an interesting thing, right? And but when we get more and what I like to call getting more comfortable within the discomfort, then
Hmm.
it's just easier to change. But I love the way that you say that to expand your comfort zone. It makes it
Yeah.
more cozy, actually. It's kind of like adding more quilt pockets to like your
Right.
quilt. So you're making your quilt a little bit bigger to be more
Yeah.
comfortable and like like
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, because you are the only female franchisor in this
Hmm.
industry, like for Sandler
In Canada.
in
Yep.
Canada. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, and so have you had any like um what we call in hypnosis and neurolinguistics, we call it transference. And transference means that people that are uncomfortable learning from women, and it could be men or women, because
Mm,
I've had clients like that too, that they've had some weird transference, that either they only want to learn from women, because we have some male trainers in our industry. So females, like, because with Robbie and I, as we're training, and we have some male trainers when they come in, and
yeah.
it's interesting to see people learn or not want to learn, or they'll compare and they'll try to defend Robbie and I against the male trainer. So it's a very interesting dynamic. So have you had any experiences with that?
Mm.
And how do you deal with it if you did?
Yeah. I'm unsure if I have has it happened? I am sure it's happened.
Hmm.
And when I'm speaking to people, so I'm gonna stereotype here for sure, but if I'm speaking to somebody who's in a very male-dominated sales force, whether that is heavy equipment or HVAC or some of these the trades industries in general, that because they are so very male-dominated, then do they want to have someone who's there? So there have been opportunities that I've missed out on that if looking back, was there something I could have done differently? Sure.
Hmm.
But on the whole, did I lose out because I was female versus male? And but I think then I've had a number of opportunities where it's been the reverse, where
Mm.
I've received those opportunities because of it. So I think in the end, it's something that I can't, what I might say is that it's tougher for me to identify that and to even pay attention to it because it's so far out of my control.
Well,
What I,
mhm.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. And what I was going to add to that,
Mhm.
because looping back around to the fact that you and I are the same, like zero judgment, that it's not even on your radar. And because it's not in your radar, it's not in your nervous system. So you're
Yeah.
not viewing things in that way. And so it wouldn't even come up most of the time in any sort of potential business that you were getting. Where, like, some business owners that I work with, because they're making it a big deal, that
Hmm.
it then becomes a big deal. So
Right.
I think that's also an element. So the people that are listening to this, just know that if there's something that you have a hang up on about yourself, then you want to allow yourself to expand your comfort zone. That should be your quote. Quote it.
Yeah.
Expand your comfort zone.
Yes. Right.
Quoted by
Yeah.
Stephanie Van Dam. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, that that all of a sudden that you're getting more business, you're getting more freedom, you're getting more sales, right? So
Yeah.
what's the thing that you teach that you love teaching the most, that you get energized about teaching, or you see
Um,
change?
yeah, that's a great question. There's a lot, and this is how I know that I'm in the right place because there are a lot of things that I love to teach and
Love
that
it.
I get a lot out of. So I'm going to answer that on three different levels if I can, which is one level is on the leadership or business ownership level, the other would be on a management level, and the other would be on the salesperson level. So in the management side, I love working on strategy or strategy and structure for an organization. So how can I help a business owner create their sales process and what are the um, qualification levels that an organization needs so that they can create some repetition within their business.
Nice.
Would you like to know this piece? I had a business owner who's been around 20, 30 years. He's had his business. And so I'm asking questions about is this piece of information important to know? Well, we haven't been doing that, but I'd really like to do that. And so to be able to offer some wisdom on what's possible it gets me very excited when it comes to business ownership.
Yeah.
Sales managers, I love it when I can talk to them about time or task management. I don't believe you can manage time unless you're Doctor Strange in the MCU. You can't do that. So, but for us, it's about task management and prioritization. So to be able to support managers in saying, providing them some language or talk tracks around how they can manage their time
Mm.
and their priorities. Love that because for some of them, they're a lot of headless chicken because they feel like and they want
Mhm.
to do it all. And they've got a really high pressure job. So let's support them in being more effective. And salespeople, um, I really love when salespeople have the light bulb go off when they realize they can control the conversation
Love it.
and the tactics, the sort of talk tracks we give them, the techniques we give them to help them control the conversation, um, is and when they use that and then it worked like that, that's wonderful. I love that.
Oh, it sounds like too, just like people that are just listening to this, like her face just totally lit up when she said, like,
Yeah.
they come back and they're like, that worked. And it's like, I love it
Yeah.
when when I get clients like that too. They're like, yeah, it worked. I'm like, uh-huh. Like, it's like, yeah,
Not
of course.
surprising, but I'm
Like,
happy for you.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're not just like, in the industries for, we're not just teaching this for shits and giggles. Like, it's really about like, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it does. Of course it does, right?
Yeah.
It's so funny when people do that, that it's teaching us of, um, the doubt. And it's interesting what people doubt. Some people go in with any situation in doubt, and that's just how it is that they operate in their nervous system. Some people go into any situation in what we call towards pleasure, right? So they go
Mm,
in under the assumption that it's always going to work out. And it's a double-edged sword. People that go in under the assumption that it's always going to work out end up in disappointment a lot of the time, because it's,
right.
yeah, it's impossible. And that's the category I fall into. I'm like, this is going
Yeah.
to be amazing, da da da, right? But, and then the people that go in with doubt, that their nervous system is like, oh, it worked. And neither is better than the other one, because it's just how
Right.
it is that we operate as humans when it comes to human behavior. So
Yeah.
it's interesting, like the training that you do and people being in their own discoveries, and having those discoveries and coming back. And that's the great thing being a trainer, is when they do come back and they're like, oh, because they're in relief at that time, and they're coming back
Yeah.
for more relief, basically.
Right. Yeah, because some of these individuals have been doing and selling in a traditional selling model for so long.
Hmm.
And that traditional selling model uh, has created a space where the buyer is ghosting you, is just using you for free information and or getting the discounts. And so then it's exhausting as a salesperson to have to continually go through that process. And so when I can give a salesperson techniques and support to be able to interrupt that process and get a new one,
Hmm.
then there's all sorts of relief all over the place. It's not just relief. I think it's exponential with you, so
Hmm.
with both of us, because people are coming to you with a great deal of like they're low in whatever space for whatever reason. They're feeling a certain way about where they're at in life.
Hmm.
And so we're taking them from here to here, and then the technique gets them up here. So it's a big it's a big shift, which is fun to
It
watch.
it's so fun to watch, because everybody's stuck in their own patterns, and that's just how we operate as humans, and patterns
Yeah,
all across the board. So even with salespeople, they're in their own patterns, whether it's some of their personal patterns are seeping over into their business sales life, and some of their sales stuff seeps into their personal life, which
right.
is also interesting to see, right? Like
Yeah,
everyone that's listening to this has a friend or a family member that is in some sort of sales, right? Like it
yeah.
just, yeah, you don't have to look that far. Um, so let me ask you this: what made you get into this industry?
I have
I wish people could see your face.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
wish they will, but
yeah, it's a funny story because the short story is that I was a client first. And so I was trained in the Sandler methodology for about a year and a bit. I left that company, came back and became a sales person for them as well. And that was I did that for 2 years, and 2 years after I was in sales, like we called it an associate in Sandler, which means we sell and deliver training for somebody else. And then I bought the business from her.
mm,
So that's the immediate story. I've always been teaching. I've always been in some sort of management. I was as a teenager, I did the cadet program. I was in Air and Army cadets and elevated through the ranks and started teaching, and that's part of the program. So I've been doing some form of delivering training since I was a teenager in various capacities. So I think it's something that I just enjoy really doing. And
Mhm.
so that's the longer version,
Well, and
going
again,
back a ways.
going back to just your natural state of being a human being, that you also genuinely love and care about all humans. Like, and you and I have
Yeah,
had tons of talks about this in general, and about human change. And I just love the curiosity aspect about what it is that you do. And even, I mean, that's how we both operate. And I think every human being should have more curiosity and discovery in their life, to how to see how it is that they can push their comfort zone, to no matter what job you're in, to see where you could
yeah.
take it, what is it that you can do. And there's so much change in the world, and not just now, but there's always been change, and there always will be change. So, what advice would you give somebody when they're just not even in sales, but what advice would you give somebody if they're uh, needing to change in their life?
Good question. And the first, I would, for me, I would identify what is it you're looking to change? What result are you looking for? So get some clarity around what result you're looking for. And in our world in sales, that could be goals, like what your specific revenue goals are. That could mean I want to move from customer service role into sales into management. That could mean I want to go from my community or local level into a global kind of service role, whatever that means for you. Um, so you want to get clarity around what that change, the outcome of that is, and understand that you're going to need to be shifting how you're showing up every day to get there, and start thinking about what does that person do, the version of me that would be that global sales hitting that target, whatever, what does that person do? And we start um, shifting our behavior into as if you've already achieved it. So does that person go to the gym every day? Does that person um, I don't know, call X number of people a day? Does that person post on LinkedIn every day? Does that person go to networking events every day? And which networking events do they go to? Do they go to all of them or only certain ones? How much research are they doing? Who are they being mentored by? So there are all sorts of activities that you can then lay out and put a plan together on how you want to change. But it's all step one, clarity on outcome.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how aligned we are in this, because even in hypnosis and neurolinguistics, like, it's, we call that modeling somebody else's behavior,
Mhm.
right? So you're modeling somebody else's behavior, and then also your future pacing. So you're future
Right.
pacing and you're stepping, like, oh, okay, that's where I want to go. And a big part of anything in life, and I love that you're talking about, like, being outcome oriented, because I think any human, even anybody in sales, that their outcome is different. Like, all the business owners that I work with, if they're trying to get their employees to be more productive or something, they're like, oh, well, we'll give them raises. Well, some people, money's not their motivator.
Right.
Yeah. So it's finding out, like, what motivates that person. Sometimes it's just, um, I know one business owner I was working with, that the person just wanted to be in the office more. Like, that was the, and they didn't care. Like, if they,
Yeah.
even though they're driving there, they had to pay to get there. I think they just want to be around people.
Right.
And I remember, like, it's just like, well, yeah, you have to be curious of what people are looking for. And if we're thinking that it's just one thing, it's never just one thing. And that's a
No,
good thing. Can you imagine how boring the
yeah,
world would be? Oh my gosh.
right. Um, I think that it's a couple things is that like what I will always say is compensation comes in many forms,
Mm,
and how we want to compensate people now, how you always want to compensate for the behavior that you're looking for, the outcome that you're going after. And the other part, and I just totally forgot what I was about to say for that with the outcomes that you're looking for.
the, some people want compensation, some people.
Um, Well, we have different, everybody has different strengths.
Mm,
So where I see this show up is that there are people that, of course, whether for salespeople, just use as an easy example, there is this notion that you will have to cold call or you have to get leads from an external source, and then you respond to those leads. Well, some people, maybe their strength is going out to networking events, right? And maybe somebody else is going on LinkedIn and doing their prospecting there.
Mhm.
So as a leader, my job, of course, is to recognize where does somebody, I can't have a templated approach to my sales team in terms of where they want to get their success, because they might all have to do all the things, but it might be to varying degrees. And as a leader, a good leader is going to find out where those are and adjust their behavioral plan
Mhm.
to where the strengths are for those individuals.
And that's very key. Yeah, I love it. Like noticing where people thrive and then positioning them in the direction to their outcome through the
Yeah.
vices of what their strengths are.
Yeah. And tie that individual's goals to the corporate goals. When
Mhm.
you do that well, then they start taking their own initiative. And
Awesome.
that's what we all want.
Yeah, and they feel good about themselves.
Right.
And
I mean,
yeah.
also.
Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
given, Tree. That was
Right.
in between the lines. Couldn't you read? Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. How about that? Wouldn't that be nice?
Well, and I find it interesting because when I have people on the podcast that I know, there's like we have our own rapport and
Yeah,
stuff. So and I know and I want to tell this to everybody because it's important that people know that there's a certain rapport. So even though here we are, we're looking at each other, where
yeah,
when people are just listening to it, it's a totally different thing
for
because
sure.
it's the little like nuances that don't happen. But also, the great thing is because we have so much rapport, it flows so beautifully, and people love listening to it.
Yeah,
And so, everybody, as you're listening to this, just even notice within yourself when you're talking with people that you don't know, as opposed to people that you do know, and how
yeah,
comfortable you are with it. And everyone also too has been around when you're sitting at a table of all these people know each other and you don't know anybody. It's a different feeling as well.
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah. So it's an interesting thing when it comes to human behavior. Even with salespeople, they're forced to um, expand their comfort zone because they're always the person that doesn't know the people because they're going in like cold calling.
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think that that's the, again, the successful salespeople, successful managers will pick up or use the cues that people have and adjust themselves to whoever they're speaking to.
Hmm.
So there are individuals, and we all can, as you're listening, you can probably pick out people that are like this. So some people are going to be very direct. They're the super competitive people, and they're very direct. Um, they just they want to know top line and bottom line, and the rest in the middle they got people for that, right? So that's one kind of person. Then you have other people that are very social connection. You can have, and this is Tree and you are very similar to this where we could talk for 30 minutes and it's all social before we get down to business, right?
Yeah.
And so that's beautiful, right? So but those individuals like to have time to talk about, maybe family or friends or social, where the other group does not. They're like, they want a 30-minute meeting to be 20, right? And
Yeah.
then you have other people that are very family oriented, don't like change very fast. And so as a salesperson, you need to be able to speak to them a little bit differently than the other two. And the last group are people that will be very data oriented. We
Yeah.
refer to them as human spreadsheets, like they
Yeah.
want, they're not, they don't care to know about fluff, personal stuff. They don't get into a lot of the personal things unless it's with people they know well.
Mhm.
But it's important for us to know, us as leaders and us as salespeople, to say what's somebody's communication style, and then it's up to me to shift my own to match up with theirs so that we can create some efficient communication.
As you're saying this, this is what I'm thinking in my head as a salesperson. It's like, well, do you want to get under the sheets right away and just get it done and over with? Or do we need to figure out if we're going to make the bed after? Or do we need to like talk about how nice the bedroom
Right.
is before we can get into the sheets? And some
Yes.
people need to take inventory of the whole room before anything happens.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Metaphorically. So,
That's
so I
right.
can't,
I
I
mean,
can't, I
for
can't
sure.
believe, yeah, I can't, I can't believe how fast this half an hour has gone. It's been over half an hour, actually.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
what do you want to
Crazy.
leave what's your last comment that you want to leave people with?
Um, so most people, what I'll say, and I love this one, which is the notion that you have a gut feeling. We all have been taught to somewhat ignore this gut feeling that we have. And I think more people are getting back in touch with it. So whatever role that you currently find yourself in right now, if there is a part of you that says in your gut that you know you can be doing better, you know you could be doing more, and that might be a shift in your role completely, like change jobs. That could be I'm going to start a business. That could be I need to try a technique that is important to achieve some goals, right? I've been too comfortable for too long. That feeling in your gut that's pulling you to do more, pay attention to it, nurture it. Um, do not talk about it, probably with your family or your close friends, because they love you and want to keep you safe. And that feeling usually means shifting who you are a little bit. Um, and when you have that feeling, then that's the one that you want to hang on to because it says you need to do something different.
Yeah,
And you know you can. It also means that you have the confidence and the skills to do something different, or you have the capacity to learn those skills. So it's a beautiful sign, and pay attention to it and go get it.
I love that.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And I do believe I totally agree with you that it is something that people are wanting to tune back into and sh- and
Mhm.
and should and absolutely should have to.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
we're going to have Stephanie's all her information, everything in all the show notes. So if you want to get in contact with her, there'll be all kinds of ways in how to do that. And thank you so much for
You're
being a
welcome.
guest. Yeah, I know I
This is
should have
super
had you on
fun.
sooner. I know.
That's
Like I'm like, it's so funny. We were out and it's just like, what? Like why haven't I had
Why
you
haven't we done this? I don't know. Why haven't we done this? Well, let's
on?
do it now. Okay.
Exactly.
So that's
Awesome.
good. Thank you. This has been super fun.
Well, folks, that's a wrap for today's episode of The Root of It All with Tree. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. But before we go, I just wanted to remind you that you can follow us on social media. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram. And we will be posting motivational quotes and behind the scenes content that you won't want to miss. You can always sign up to come live while we're filming this, or even join us online through Zoom. We always offer open question and answer after each episode that we don't record, so it's all private, but you can get more involved. So sign up for free at businessgrowthresults.com, and we're going to cover all kinds of different topics that you're not going to